Hi guys, welcome back to Language with Yusuf. Today we are going to be continuing our lesson on the word قرار. In the previous lesson, we went over the primary uses for this word, which are to say when something is going to happen or when something was supposed to happen. In this lesson, we will be looking at some other uses for this word. There will be a part 3 as well. The first form we're going to look at is قرار گذاشتن. This verb typically means to make a deal, arrange something, or to set a date or appointment. It can also be used to say that you are dating someone on a continual basis. Here's our first example. ما قرار گذاشتیم که تا عروسی با هم سکس نداشته باشیم. We agreed not to have sex until we get married. Let's break this down. ما means we. قرار گذاشتیم means that we agreed or made a deal. گذاشتن usually means to put or to set in Persian. گذاشتیم is the first person plural form in the past tense. ما قرار گذاشتیم که تا عروسی. که تا عروسی means that until the wedding. که works just like the que in Spanish when it's used as a conjunction. It means that. For example, ماشینی که دیدم سبز بود. The car that I saw was green. تا means until. عروسی means wedding or marriage. ما قرار گذاشتیم که تا عروسی با هم سکس نداشته باشیم. با هم سکس نداشته باشیم. As I went over in the previous video, با هم means together or with each other. It is the shortening of با همدیگه. همدیگه means each other. با means with. Sex means sex, of course. نداشته باشیم is the negative subjunctive form of the verb داشتن in the first person plural. The regular subjunctive form would be داشته باشیم. داشتن is a rare verb in the sense that the subjunctive form consists of the past participle with the verb بودن conjugated in the subjunctive. This verb is used quite a lot in Persian, so it's best to incorporate it into your speech and try to use it often. ما قرار گذاشتیم که تا عروسی با هم سکس نداشته باشیم. We agreed to not have sex until marriage. Now let's move on to our second example. در دوران دانشگاه با هم قرار میذاشتیم اما بعدش دیگه ارتباطمون قطع شد. We used to date in college but later on we lost touch. Let's break it down. در means in. دوران means period, as in a period of time. دانشگاه means college, or more specifically, a university. You'll recognize the ga as a morpheme that typically denotes a location of some kind. For example, Eastgah means station, as in bus station or train station. Forutgah means airport. Danish means knowledge. You'll see it in other terms such as danish amuz, which means student. So, در دوران دانشگاه means during the period of college or simply during college. در دوران دانشگاه با هم قرار میذاشتیم. با هم we know means together or with each other. قرار میذاشتیم means we dated or we used to date. میذاشتیم is the past imperfect form of the verb گذاشتن. This tense is used to imply that something was happening at some point in the past. This use of the verb is interesting because قرار گذاشتن usually means to set a date or appointment. But when you use it in an imperfect or continuous tense, it becomes simply to date. در دوران دانشگاه با هم قرار میذاشتیم اما بعدش دیگه ارتباطمون قطع شد. اما بعدش دیگه ارتباطمون قطع شد. اما means but. It's completely interchangeable with the other word for but, which is vali. بعدش means afterwards or after it. You might recognize this from the first lesson on how to say before and after. Bad by itself means after. in a general sense. Adding the ish part means that we're saying after it or after a certain thing has happened. دیگه ارتباطمون قطع شد. دیگه can mean already or anymore, depending on the context. It doesn't fit into our English translation here, but it's basically here to emphasize the fact that we lost touch. In other words, we don't talk anymore. You could omit the دیگه in the sentence and it would still be correct. ارتباط can mean connection or communication. The moon part is a possession morpheme which means our or ours. It's pronounced mon in formal sentences. So ارتباطمون means our connection. قطع شدن is a verb that roughly means to be interrupted or to be cut. It's most often used in reference to communication. You can also replace شدن with کردن to make it an active verb. For example, قطع کرد could mean he hung up, as in he hung up the phone. So, در دوران دانشگاه با هم قرار میذاشتیم اما بعدش دیگه ارتباطمون قطع شد. We used to date in college, but afterwards we lost touch. Now we're at our second form, قرار داشتن. This verb is most often used in relation to the other verb, قرار گذاشتن, but it also has a separate meaning by itself. Let's take a look at the next example. ایران بین عراق و افغانستان قرار دارد. Iran is situated or located between Iraq and Afghanistan. This example is pretty straightforward. We can use قرار داشتن to explain where a certain object, region, or even person is located. ایران بین عراق و افغانستان. بین means between. عراق is the Persian pronunciation of Iraq, or as some people might pronounce it, Iraq. Afghanistan is the Persian pronunciation of Afghanistan. We say قرار دارد because the subject Iran is in the third person. You'll notice that this sentence is formal. We say قرار دارد instead of قرار داره. This is because using قرار داشتن to denote location is usually reserved for formal contexts. You might also notice that we are saying va instead of o. If this sentence were informal, it would sound much more natural to say عراق و افغانستان. But since it's formal, we keep it va. Now let's loop back to the primary meaning of this verb, to have an appointment or a date. میدونم قرار داشتیم اما نقشه عوض شده. I know we had an appointment, but plans have changed. میدونم means I know. قرار داشتیم means we had an appointment or a date. اما means but, as we went over before. نقشه usually means map, as in a map of the world, but it can also mean a plan or agenda. And عوض شده comes from the verb عوض شدن, which means to change. عوض شده is the present perfect form in the third person. عوض شدن is an intransitive verb. This means that it is used to say that the subject itself is changing. If you want to say that one noun is changing another noun, you would use the verb عوض کردن. میدونم قرار داشتیم اما نقشه عوض شده. I know we had an appointment, but plans have changed. As I mentioned earlier on, قرار گذاشتن can mean to set an appointment or make a deal with someone. That same meaning can be implied in this form. You can easily interpret this sentence as, I know we had a deal, but plans have changed. Context is very, very important in Persian. Now let's go over a few related structures while we're at it. First, we have قرار ملاقات. This is a collocation in Persian that we see quite often. ملاقات by itself means meeting. Saying قرار ملاقات sort of emphasizes that it's a meeting that was planned ahead of time. It could be translated as a set appointment, if that makes sense. ما یک قرار ملاقات با سازمان ملل گذاشتیم. We set up a meeting with the United Nations. ما means we. یه قرار ملاقات means a meeting. با سازمان ملل means with the United Nations. سازمان means organization. ملل is related to ملیت, meaning nationality. سازمان ملل basically means an organization of nations or United Nations. And گذاشتیم, of course, is the past tense first person plural form of the verb گذاشتن. And finally, we have قرارداد. This word doesn't have anything to do with the aforementioned structures, but its meaning is definitely related to them. It can mean a contract, lease, agreement, or deal. For example, این خونه جدیدمه. تازه قراردادو امضا کردیم. This is my new house. We just signed the lease. این means this. خونه means house. خونه جدید means new house. خونه جدیدم means my new house. is how we say asked or is in everyday speech. این خونه جدیدمه. This is my new house. تازه means just, as in just now or we just did it. A quick side note, تازه can also mean fresh, as in هوای تازه, fresh air. تازه قراردادو امضا کردیم. The O after قرارداد is the object marker. It is transformed from را. You'll notice that in the Farsi text I wrote it as ro. This is just to show that both forms would be fine here. Chances are, though, that people will pronounce it as O because قرارداد ends with a consonant. امضا کردن means to sign, as in to sign a check or sign your name. امضا کردیم is the first person plural form in the past tense. این خونه جدیدمه. تازه قراردادو امضا کردیم. This is my new house. We just signed the lease or contract or deal. Thanks for watching. Part 3 of the قرار series is on the way. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care.